Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm here to do my weekly reads, my Monday wrap up, whatever you want to call it, my once a week catch up to what I read since my last wrap up. Now, usually I just talk about the number of books I read in a certain time frame, but I thought I would just fill you in on my stats for the year. And also, today is 26, so I imagine I will be able to read one more book, so I might get 10 more books in this month, but we'll see. Who knows? So, what have I read this year so far? Well, in January, I read 51 books. In February, I read 22, and if you follow my channel, and if you've been hearing the times I've talked about my mental health, you'll understand why I only read 22 books in February. March was 37 books. April was 54. May was 62. That was almost my best month. June was 47. Okay, so I did great in May, and I lowered myself down in June. And there would be a truck backing up outside. I'm sorry. In July was my best month. I got to 63 books. August was 57, which is one of my prouder months because August was an extremely busy month for me. Not only did I go on vacation for a week, but I babysat any number of times for 3, 4, 5, 6 different grandchildren over the course of the month of August. And I still managed to get 57 books. So that's my proudest month. September, so far, this month, I have read 45 books, and of the 45 books, we're going to talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 books I've read since last Monday. Yeah, 14. And to me, that's pretty good because I think, was it Thursday or Friday of last week? I don't know, my days all run together. A few days ago, I was feeling really depressed and I spent the day in bed, and I didn't read that whole day until evening or night. So for me to get 14 books read in the last 7 days, I have to just try to think that it's enough. You know, I always want to do more, but I have to accept that it's enough. So if I have read all of these books, where does that lead me now? And I don't know why this printed so small. A page from my spreadsheet. Printed it too small. I have read 438, not 483, 438 books, and I'm currently reading books 439 and 440. And that is really, I'm happy about that because my Goodreads goal was 400, and now I am 40 plus books ahead. So, let's see, what else did I want to tell you? So I guess that's it for numbers, okay? How many minutes have I been talking numbers? Let's talk about the books that I read. And if you see me kind of looking like a scared rabbit, it's because my cat wants to jump up on my desk, and there's just too many things on my desk for my cat right now. But he was asleep and he heard me talking, so therefore he had to come see what it's all about. So, let's get started. Now, we are going to work mostly from memory, and when my memory fails me, I will go to Goodreads. Okay, so the first book for this wrap-up is A Death at Neptune Cove by Emma Jameson. It is book number 4 in the Jemima Jago mystery series, and it's a cozy mystery series. Now, in this book, Jem or Jemima is about to arrange for a birthday party for a 14-year-old that we met in the previous book. And as she's about to carry the cake over to where the birthday party will be held, the cake gets damaged. So she knocks on the first door there in beautiful Neptune Cove, and she starts to realize that the householder is dead. She sees blood and she sees signs that it was foul play. So she discovers the victim, and true to form for Jem, she starts looking for answers as to why this victim, and his name was Arthur Ajax, why he died, and what she can do to prove why he died, and not only that, but who killed him. And this book takes a shift. As a matter of fact, we learn a lot about the lifestyle that the victim, Arthur Ajax, lived. And due to his lifestyle, Jem feels that there was a reason for his murder that related to that. Whether or not that's the case, you'll have to see, and we'll leave it at that. And so that was the first book I read. It's not out yet. As a matter of fact, most, if not all of these books are not out yet. I think for this video, maybe 2 of the 14 books are out. Okay, the next book I read was Did Not Finish by Nicola Marsh. And this is about Axel, an author, and Mia, a professional book reviewer. Now, Mia is an editorial book reviewer who is one of several promising authors who get invited to a writing retreat at Axel's home. Well, Mia gets there a day ahead of everybody, and it's not by accident, it's by design. But what's not by design is that there was a terrible snowstorm, blizzard, that trapped Mia and Axel in the house for about a week. So none of the other writers show up. So this gives Mia unfettered access to Axel so he can help her to get her book previewed and hopefully get her with his agent. That's what her ultimate goal is. Well, there's also a romance here because Axel and Mia are drawn to one another. They're snowed in, and the thing is, even if there could be any type of a budding romance between them, Axel has a secret that he's keeping from Mia. The question is, what will Mia do when she finds out Axel's secret? So that is Did Not Finish by Nicola Marsh. Forgive me for that. Then the next book I read was Snowflakes and Secrets in the Scottish Highlands by Donna Ashcroft. Now this was a very, very sweet, let's bring it up. Okay, first of all, let's look at the cover, which is going to be coming up as I'm talking to you. And when you look at this book, you realize it's the first Christmas book that I have read for 2022. Now, it's about our 25-year-old Mary who is dealing with heartbreak after her father died. And now she's going to spend some time in the Scottish village, and it's called Christmas. She's at Chestnut Cottage, but it's called like Christmas Village or Christmas Villa. I'm drawing a blank as to what the village is. But when she gets there, her plan is to spend the Christmas holidays with her aunt. As soon as she gets there, not only is her aunt not there, but there's a note, and that note says, "Oh, by the way, we have this decades-old Secret Santa, and I'm Secret Santa. First of all, you can't tell anybody. Secondly, start looking for packages because you have to receive all 30 packages, wrap those 30 packages, and distribute them to the recipients." So she's looking at these notes. "Oh, by the way, I also need you to take care of my menagerie of pets. One of these pets is Chewy the rabbit." Well, what does Chewy the rabbit do? Well, when Mary is reading all of these instructions from her aunt, she dozes off and she wakes up and Chewy has chewed through some of these instructions. So now she spends her time trying to figure out who is going to receive these 30 gifts, and also how can she figure out who's going to receive these gifts and keep it secret from anybody that might be curious as to who the Secret Santa is. But she's not alone, because something happens to Chewy, or she thinks something happens to Chewy, and therefore she calls the vet. The vet comes over, his name is Theo, and you can see that there's a connection between the two. And it was a very, very sweet story. I absolutely loved it. Then I read I read something before that, Of Manners and Murder by Anastasia Hastings. Now, this is the first book in a cozy mystery series. It doesn't come out till February or March of next year, but I did read it. Fashawn called me and said, Robin, you have to read this book. And I'm going to bring it up because there's something I want to tell you about this book, even though you won't see a book review on it forever, like for months and months. You'll probably see 200 more book reviews from me before you see this. Now, this is another situation where you have somebody in their aunt, because we have Hermione. It's Miss Hermione is an advice column, and in this book, and I'm just making sure I have this straight, because 2 books with aunts who leave somebody responsible for something, but I'm not mixing them up, okay? It's 1885 London, and Violet's aunt Adelia leaves Violet in charge of the Miss Hermione advice column. That's the setup of this book. And it becomes a cozy mystery because Violet is now trying to read all of these little letters that are coming into this advice column, and that's when she notices that something is not right. Something is awry. And while she's working on the mystery with her sister, oh, please tell me I remember her sister's name. I'm going to draw a blank on her sister's name. There's a lot of back and forth with the relationship that she has with her sister, and I'm sure if I pull up my notes on my blog, I probably wrote the sister's name down. But it's the first book in a new series, and the reason Fashawn told me to go ahead and read this is because sometimes when you read the first book in a new series, you get a lot of setup. You learn every little nuance about this character and that character and how they connect and where it's going to lead or where you think it might lead. With this book, it just jumped you right in. The Miss Hermione advice column was long-standing, and now Violet jumps in, and while she's jumping into this, you know, she's got the conflict with her sister. So I'm so glad that I read it, and like I said, it doesn't come out till February 7th, so you won't see a video anytime soon. Now I can move on to the Maid's Secret, and I am just going to go ahead and bring them all up on Goodreads because I don't want to mess anything up. Now this is by Shari J. Ryan. Now I'm a little confused on the title. I really am, but we have a woman who was part of the Travelers. Now, in a politically incorrect term for travelers is gypsies, and they were called travelers. They were Romani travelers living in Czechoslovakia in 1943, and they came with prejudice against them. They were fortune tellers, they were thieves, they were this, they were that. Well, meanwhile, our main character Mila takes a job as a maid for an affluential Jewish family. Well, we're right in the midst of World War II, and what is Hitler doing to all these little towns and villages and in countries around Europe? Well, he is taking over, or his hordes are taking over people's homes and villages and imprisoning them and killing them and all of that. Well, when Mila takes this job, one of the family that she works with, their son named Benedict, really likes her and she likes him, but the society has its dictates, and there was actually a law against Jews marrying outside of their race. So we see a number of things with this book. You see the romance between Mila and Ben. You see what happened to Ben's family, what happens to Ben himself, and where things end up at the end of the book, especially as the Hitler's armies move forward into Czechoslovakia. Very, very, very excellent book by Shari J. Ryan. She writes fabulous historical fiction, and I can't get enough of it. So the next book I read was The Lost Summer in Ireland, and I am struggling to read this because I printed this too small. Now, Lost Summer of Ireland, in Ireland, I wrote of Ireland. Let's just retype that. In Ireland. This is by, I have to bring this one up. Okay. Yes, this is by Noelle Harrison, and I think it's my second book I read by her, so I'm glad that I read it. And in this particular book, it's referred to as an emotional page turner, and it speaks of something that happened 20 years ago, and there was two sisters, Maid and Aisling, and I might be saying that wrong. Well, Noelle drowned 20 years previously, and now Aisling has passed, and her daughter Iris is going to try to get to know her Aunt Maid. As Iris approaches her aunt's house, she finds something, and what she finds brings her 20 years in the past to something that her mother never told her about. And that's what makes this book an emotional read. Now, there were secrets, and the secrets go back to something that Noelle, the one that passed away, had written in her diary. And that is the book that I have there. And it doesn't come out till October, so no, I haven't written a book review yet. So our next book is, I have it as We Have Your Daughter, but I'm checking here and it looks like it was renamed The Perfect Mother. In any event, it's by Matthew Farrell and it comes out next month. Now, the first 4 words, if I'm not mistaken, are Mom, they took me. The worst things any mother could imagine hearing is your daughter's scared voice saying those words. Well, what happens is we have a young teenager, 13 or 14-year-old Noelle, who had been kidnapped. The phone call is made to her mother, and as soon as her daughter utters those words, the voice of the kidnapper comes on the line. Yes, we have your daughter. You have 3 hours to get here. Throw your phone out. There's a burner phone in the car. Turn it on, and we are going to watch and listen to everything you do until you get here. The question is, how far will this mother go for her daughter? How far? How far would you go for your daughter, for your son, for your loved ones? And that's what we find out about in this book by Matthew Farrell. I gave this book 5 stars. I haven't written a review yet, but sometimes if I count them as read on Goodreads, I will go ahead and rate them. And I think it was definitely 5 stars. And I'm telling you, what was so good about this book was the pacing. Oh my word, the pacing. It was breakneck. It was a good book. The next book I read, another October read, was The Family Home by Miranda Smith. And in this particular situation, it was kind of an odd situation. The police kept questioning this couple for this reason. You have a couple who have an amicable divorce. They have a beautiful home that was built specifically for them, and they have a little, I think she's 4 years old, a little girl. So they decide, in order not to upset her routine, they each get the little girl for a week. Mom gets her 1 week, dad gets her the next week. So 1 week the mom spends in the home, and then the other week the dad spends in a shared apartment, and so forth. And they keep rotating like that. So they have 2 homes in common, but they never live in the same place twice. As a matter of fact, the husband, the ex-husband, Matthew, has a girlfriend. So it's truly an amicable divorce. Well, the wife, I don't remember her name. Her name is Lillian. She goes out on a date. No, she doesn't go on a date. She goes out for drinks. She comes home, she's exhausted. She falls asleep on the couch. She wakes up a few hours later or the next morning and stumbles into her bedroom and sees a dead body. So, that is your mystery. And this is by Miranda Smith. And I think I probably have read 6 or 7 of her books so far. I haven't rated this yet on Goodreads, but I'm probably going to give it 5 stars. The next book I read is Kerry Tucker Learns to Live. So let's pull this up on Goodreads. I bring up these books because I have a thing about names in real life and in reading. No matter how much I remember the story, the drama, the conflict, the conclusion, I don't remember the names. Obviously, we know this book is about Kerry Tucker because the book is called Kerry Tucker Learns to Live. So she's our character. Okay? So this book is by Louise Voss. Again, it's another October book. I'm trying to read ahead of schedule now. And here we have Kerry Tucker is trying to figure out why her life is the same day in and day out. Day in and day out. Now, Kerry lives in a little garage apartment, kind of like a loft. As a matter of fact, it is a loft because she has to climb a ladder to get in and out of her little teeny apartment. Well, she has a sister named Beth, and their mother passes away. Kerry's like, finally, my life can start. I'm going to move into the big house and my life is going to go forward. Well, Beth has other ideas about what Kerry's future is going to be. And that's why it's called Kerry Tucker Learns to Live. Then I read the ExWives by, I cannot read this. I printed this too small, so let's bring it up. I can read it Jenna Kernan. And I believe this is the first book I read by her. So not only did I not recognize, I can't read the small print here, I didn't recognize the name because it's the first time I've read a book by her. Now, in this book we have, what book did I read last week? There's a reason I want to say this. Give me one moment. Okay. If you watch my book review for the Foster family and you see how I talked about the husband in that book, I thought he could be pretty much the worst husband I've read in a book probably in 2022. That's the Foster Family by Nicole Trope. Well, guess what? Jackson in this book, which is up there, I think, yeah. Jackson in this book is worse than that husband in the Foster Family by Nicole Trope. Okay? Jackson is married. His new wife, they've been married 1 year. She has a little girl. He hasn't adopted a little girl, but he has her calling him daddy. Well, his wife finds out that Jackson had been married twice before. And each of those wives had a daughter. And each of those little girls are missing. So that's part of the drama. The other part of the drama is Jackson is the most controlling, abusive man that I have read this year. Yeah, worse than the husband in the Foster Family. Okay, I think his name was William in the other book. All she's trying to do, and what is her name? I never remember names. I'm going to have to come up with some kind of pneumatic system to remember names. Elena. Oh, I should remember that because I had to make sure I was spelling it right in my review. So I should remember that. Anyway, Elena is trying to get away from Jackson, especially because those two little girls had gone missing and she has a little girl. And let me tell you, this was a thrilling book because it was so tentative. Would Elena get away with her daughter safely? And if they could get away, how would they get away? And would they get away with their lives? And the steps that Jackson takes towards keeping this woman under his thumb make me speechless. I'll just leave it at that. Makes me speechless. Now, let's have a little fun. The next 3 books I read were all part of a series, a trilogy. There's only 3 books in the series. And it's the Sunshine Victim series by Dorinda Jones. And it was A Bad Day for Sunshine, A Good Day for Chardonnay, and A Hard Day for a Hangover. Those are the 3 books. Now, A Bad Day for Sunshine came out in 2020. A Good Day for Chardonnay came out in 2021. And then A Hard Day for a Hangover will be out in December. So I went ahead and binge read them all. Now, here we have a woman in a small town in New Mexico who was voted as sheriff. So she takes over the job as sheriff. She has a small team, but what makes this book, first of all, this is a very humorous take on her life. She has a daughter named Ari, A-U-R-I. My Ari is A-R-I-I. Anyway, she has a daughter named Ari, 14 years old, who is her mother's image in every way, in action, and she's a great kid. So Sunshine is now the sheriff. In each book of the series, A Bad Day for Sunshine, A Good Day for Chardonnay, and A Hard Day for a Hangover, there's some crime that Sunshine is investigating. And all the while in each book, and I am lumping them all together for the sake of this video, Ari gets involved. Her mom, sometimes her parents collectively, but usually her mom always has something to do about it. But then there's a couple of extra characters. We have the boy that Ari is crushing on, and we see their relationship blooming. He's like 16 and she's 14. But we also have Sunshine and her love for a man named Levi. And then Sunshine's one of her employees is her best friend since like second grade. His name is Cooper. Great series. I know I just lumped them all together, but it's worth it. Check them out. And then the last book I read was 6 Ripley Avenue by Noelle Holten. Now, I just finished that book. I haven't made my video yet. That's going to happen after this video is edited and while it's in the uploading stage. Well, this was about let me put it like this. Noelle Holten has written 4 or 5 books in the Maggie Jameson series. Well, this particular book is a standalone. And in this particular book, we have a probation officer who's working in what's called the Ripley house or the Ripley home. And it is a place that we would know here in the U.S., kind of like a halfway house. But it's called, what is it called there? A probation hostel there in the U.K. In Uecker, if I'm saying that village correctly. Well, you have a bunch of ex-cons who are under license, or in America we say probation, and one of them is murdered. So the question is that our principal character, Jeanette Macy, knows or feels that somebody in that halfway house or that hostel killed Danny Wells, the victim. Okay, now was it one of the other ex-cons? Was it one of her team members? Who was it? So you have the police investigating, but you also have Sloan, who is an investigative reporter or an investigative journalist, and she's looking to fulfill her byline and have the hottest first take on this case. Then you have other people who are invested for whatever reason. And then all of that is in third person. All of those characters' viewpoints are in third person. But you have the spattering of first person view from the killer. So who is the killer and why did he kill Danny Wells? And what happens in the book from there? Definitely a 5-star read. Literally just hot off the presses for me because I just finished it. But there you have it. That makes book number 45 for the month of September. So that is my wrap up. Now I've got to piece this all together because when my cat jumped up on my desk, I had to shut the camera off. But hopefully you watch this video to the end, and I will talk with you soon. Bye-bye.